This is Tom Fox. I'd like to welcome you to the newest addition to the Compliance Podcast Network, the Compliance Tip of the Day. This is the podcast where you bring you daily insights and practical advice on navigating the ever-evolving landscape of compliance requirements. Whether you're a seasoned compliance professional or just starting your journey, my aim in this podcast is to provide you with a bite-sized, actionable tip to help you stay on top of your compliance game. Join us as we explore the latest trends from the Department of Justice, share some best practices, demystify complex compliance issues to help keep your organization doing business ethically and in compliance, and at the end of the day, more profitably. Tune in daily for your dose of compliance wisdom. Let's make compliance a little less daunting, one tip at a time. Now a word from the sponsor of the Compliance Podcast Network, Ethico.
In compliance, the value of anonymous reporting is undeniable. But with Ethico, anonymity doesn't mean a loss of connection. Our blinded, two-way communication fosters an environment of trust and confidentiality, encouraging open and honest dialogue. It's not just about receiving reports. It's about understanding the story behind each one, creating a culture of integrity and respect. Transform your approach to anonymous reporting with Ethico. Begin your journey at ethico.com/CPN, where you can book a demo, access an exclusive white paper by Tom Fox titled The ROI of Compliance, and utilize our free ROI calculator.
Today we continue our two-part exploration of best practices in a cross-border investigation. Once again, this podcast is based on the article Internal Investigation, How to Conduct an Anti-Corruption Investigation, Developing and Implementing the Investigative Plan by Mara Sin. Yesterday we looked at the first 5 requirements. Now we look at the second 5 requirements. Number 1, put forms in native translations. Yesterday we talked about a key to having a translator for non-English speakers or those who don't speak English as their primary language. Well, the same is true of information such as documents, emails, or others to allow witnesses to read them in their own local language. Number 2, preserve the attorney-client privilege. The rules outside the U.S. can be quite different and perhaps a little bewildering. In many EU countries, there is no privilege from an in-house counsel. So if a GC speaks to the president or CEO, there is absolutely no privilege under those circumstances in Europe, and you need to be cognizant of that. Number 3, prepare for local enforcement action. Many countries have become much more aggressive in their enforcement against bribery and corruption, sometimes based on local or domestic anti-bribery laws. This means the information which one government knows is going to be known by a second or other government. 4, prepare for security risk. This means the personal security of your investigative team. Consider bringing interviewees to a local hub outside of impacted areas. And finally, number 5, protect whistleblowers. Obviously, in the United States, this is paramount, but it's becoming more important in the EU after the EU whistleblower directive and in other countries such as Brazil and the United Kingdom. So do not let whistleblowers be fired or in any way retaliated against. I went over these 10 points in some detail because I wanted you to understand doing an investigation outside the U.S. is always different than doing investigation inside the United States. But if you put together a coherent protocol and plan, I think it will allow you to avoid any cultural or legal or local-based missteps which could derail some portion of your investigation. Additionally, it will help you explain to the DOJ if you do have problems why you couldn't secure a witness or certain evidence if that is not possible. So, conducting a cross-border investigation. As you know, this month's sponsor of the Compliance Podcast Network, including this podcast, is Ethico. Have you ever wondered about the ROI of your compliance program or had concerns with presenting budget proposals to your CFO? Well, I partnered with Ethico to write a white paper on the ROI of compliance and how you can think through compliance as an investment strategy. Ethico has put together a ROI calculator for you. Check them out on the website. This is Tom Fox again. This new podcast, Compliance Tip of the Day, will appear daily. And frankly, it's one of the most requested topics for a podcast that I get on a regular basis. It's going to be short and sweet with one tip with some takeaways that you can utilize to implement into your compliance program. If you've got a question that you would like a tip on, please submit them through our website, and we will use them in an upcoming episode. The compliance tip of the day is a production of the award-winning Compliance Podcast Network.